What would you do if the man who swore to protect you destroyed your life in front of the entire world and then showed up 3 years later, begging to meet the daughter he never knew existed? The ballroom went silent the moment Elena Carter stepped through the doors, not because she was late, not because she was beautiful, but because the billionaire who once publicly ruined her nearly dropped the champagne glass in his hand the second he saw her, and standing beside her was a little girl with his eyes. Before we get into this story, subscribe if you love emotional billionaire dramas with shocking twists, revenge, heartbreak, and satisfying endings. And comment below right now. Should Elena forgive him after what he did? Because at the end of this story, you might change your mind. The live orchestra continued playing, but nobody inside the Ashford Grand Hotel was paying attention anymore. Every camera had turned toward Elena. Every whisper in the room carried her name. She came back. I thought she disappeared. Isn't that Adrian Vale's ex-wife? No, that can't be her, but it was. 3 years earlier, Adrian Vale had divorced her in front of the entire elite class of New York after accusing her of fraud, manipulation, and betrayal. 3 years earlier, he destroyed her reputation with one sentence, and now she was back, wearing a black silk gown, diamond earrings, expression calm enough to terrify everyone watching. The little girl beside her held her hand tightly while staring up at the giant chandelier above them. "Mama," she whispered softly, "why is everybody looking at us?" Elena smiled gently. "Because people stare when they're surprised, sweetheart." Across the ballroom, Adrian couldn't breathe properly. His chest tightened so hard he thought he was having a heart attack. Because Elena wasn't supposed to come back. Not after everything. Not after the divorce. Not after the humiliation. Not after he let the entire world believe she was a criminal. His business partner, Marcus Reed, leaned closer. "You look like you've seen a ghost." Adrian didn't answer. Because ghosts didn't walk into rooms looking more alive than ever. Ghosts didn't return richer, stronger, untouchable. And ghosts definitely didn't bring children with familiar eyes. The little girl looked around curiously until her gaze suddenly landed on Adrian. For one strange second, the entire room disappeared. Adrian felt frozen. The child tilted her head slightly, exactly the same way he used to do when confused. His stomach dropped. No way. "Elena," he whispered under his breath. Then she looked directly at him. No anger, no tears, no visible hatred. That somehow hurt more. She approached slowly while cameras flashed around them. 3 years ago, Elena would have looked nervous in rooms like this. Tonight, she walked like she owned the building. Adrian swallowed hard as she stopped in front of him. The room held its breath, and then she smiled politely. "Good evening, Mr. Vale." The title hit him like a knife. Not Adrian, not even a bitter insult. Mr. Vale, cold, professional, distant. As if their marriage had never happened. As if the nights they spent together meant nothing. As if she had erased him completely. Marcus looked between them awkwardly. "You two know each other?" Elena turned gracefully. "We used to." The little girl squeezed Elena's hand tighter. "Mama, who's that?" Adrian stared at the child. His pulse became uneven. Because now that she was closer, there was no denying it. The eyes, the dimples, the shape of her face. The little girl looked like him, Elena answered calmly. "That's Mr. Vale." The child smiled innocently. "Hello, Mr. Vale." Adrian's throat tightened. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Because deep down, some horrifying instinct was already screaming the truth at him. Elena gave a small nod. "Enjoy your evening." Then she walked away, just like that. No explanation, no confrontation, no breakdown. And somehow, that hurt Adrian far more than hatred ever could. The second she'd disappeared into the crowd, he turned sharply toward Marcus. "Who invited her?" Marcus frowned. "The investors. Her company just acquired Viridian Cosmetics this morning." Adrian blinked. "What?" Marcus looked confused. "You seriously don't know?" Adrian's stomach twisted. "Know what?" Marcus lowered his voice. "Elena Carter owns Aurelia Global now." The words hit like thunder. Aurelia Global. The billion-dollar luxury beauty empire dominating international markets. The company that had expanded across 14 countries in less than 3 years. The company every investor in America wanted access to. Adrian laughed once, not because it was funny, because it sounded impossible. That's not possible. It is, Marcus replied carefully. She's worth more than half the people in this room now. Adrian stared across the ballroom again. Elena was speaking with foreign investors while holding her daughter effortlessly on one hip. Confident, elegant, untouchable. 3 years ago, she left his penthouse with one suitcase and ruined mascara. Now she had returned wealthier than him, and standing beside him suddenly appeared the one person Adrian least wanted to see, his mother. Vivian Vale's diamond bracelet glittered beneath the ballroom lights as she narrowed her eyes toward Elena. She shouldn't be here. Adrian's jaw tightened instantly. You knew she was coming, Vivian scoffed softly. She's obviously here to show off. But Adrian wasn't listening anymore, because memories had already started crashing into him. 3 years earlier, rain pouring outside the ballroom windows, Elena standing in tears while reporters crowded around, and him humiliating her publicly. You lied to me, he had said coldly back then. You used me. I saw the bank transfers myself. The memory made him feel sick now. At the time, he believed every word, because the evidence looked undeniable. Secret accounts, hidden payments, photos of Elena meeting another man, everything pointed toward betrayal, and Vivian had made sure he saw all of it. Back then, Elena cried while grabbing his arm desperately. Adrian, please listen to me. But he pulled away. I defended you for months. Don't insult me by lying again. Her face shattered right there, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly. Like someone realizing the person they loved had already decided they were guilty. Then came the sentence that destroyed everything. Get out of my life. The next morning, the divorce papers were finalized and Elena disappeared. Adrian spent years convincing himself he made the right decision. Until tonight. Until the little girl. Until those eyes. His mother interrupted his thoughts sharply. You're staring at her again. Adrian turned slowly. How long did you know? Vivian frowned. Know what? That she was pregnant. Silence. Tiny. Brief. But enough. Adrian saw it immediately. The shift in her face. The hesitation. And suddenly his blood ran cold. You knew? He whispered. Vivian crossed her arms defensively. She never confirmed anything. You knew. She left Adrian. You knew. His voice rose this time. Nearby guests turned toward them curiously. Vivian lowered her voice immediately. Control yourself. But Adrian was already shaking. Because for the first time in 3 years, a terrifying possibility entered his mind. What if Elena never betrayed him? What if everything was a lie? Across the ballroom, Elena felt his stare again. Daniel Carter leaned closer beside her. You okay? Daniel had been Elena's closest protector during the darkest years after the divorce. Not because he pitied her, because he watched her rebuild herself from nothing, and he watched her do it while pregnant and heartbroken. Elena sipped champagne calmly. I expected this reaction. Daniel glanced toward Adrian. He looks like he's about to collapse. Good! Daniel smirked slightly. That little girl nearly gave him cardiac arrest. Elena finally laughed softly for the first time that night. Amelia looked up curiously. Why are you laughing, Mama? Elena kissed her forehead gently. Because adults are dramatic. Daniel's expression softened while watching Amelia. She deserves better than all this. I know. And he doesn't deserve her. Elena's smile faded slightly. I know that too. But deep inside, seeing Adrian again hurt more than she expected. Because despite everything, part of her still remembered the man he used to be before pride destroyed him, before suspicion poisoned him, before he looked at her like she was dirt beneath his shoes. She remembered late nights eating takeout in his office while helping him prepare investor speeches. She remembered him kissing her forehead while promising nobody would ever come between them. She remembered believing him. That was the cruelest part. She truly believed him. The ballroom doors suddenly opened again. A group of reporters rushed inside after spotting Elena. Flashbulbs exploded instantly. Miss Carter, is it true Aurelia Global is acquiring Vale Luxuries? Carter, are you reconciling with Adrian Vale? Who is the child? Elena's expression hardened immediately. Daniel stepped protectively beside her. No questions, but the reporters kept shouting, and then one reporter yelled the sentence that froze the room. Mr. Vale, is that your daughter? Complete silence. Every guest turned, every camera shifted. Adrian stared at Elena from across the ballroom. Elena stared back, and for the first time that night, emotion cracked through her calm expression. Pain, real pain. Amelia looked confused. "Mama?" Elena bent down immediately. "Sweetheart, go with Uncle Daniel for 1 minute, okay? But please." Daniel gently took Amelia's hand. "It's okay, princess." The moment they walked away, Adrian crossed the ballroom toward Elena, fast, desperate, angry. The crowd immediately parted for him. "Elena," she stood still. "Don't. I need answers. You lost the right to demand those 3 years ago." His jaw clenched painfully. "Is she mine?" Elena looked directly into his eyes, and that hurt him more than shouting ever could. "You don't get to ask me that at a party full of cameras. That's not a no. That's not your business." His voice cracked slightly. "Elena." For one dangerous second, emotion flooded both their faces. 3 years of grief, 3 years of regret, 3 years of silence. Then Vivian suddenly approached them. "This is inappropriate." Elena's eyes turned ice cold instantly. "Mrs. Vale." Vivian lifted her chin arrogantly. "You've caused enough damage already." Daniel laughed from nearby. "Damage? That's funny coming from you." Vivian ignored him completely. "You disappeared for 3 years and now suddenly return with a child?" Adrian snapped immediately. "Mother, stop." But Vivian continued. "You expect people not to ask questions?" Elena's voice became dangerously quiet. "No, I expect people not to weaponize children." The tension became unbearable. Even the reporters stopped talking. Then Amelia's tiny voice suddenly echoed nearby. "Mama?" Everyone turned. The little girl walked back toward them holding Daniel's hand. And before anyone could react, Amelia looked directly at Adrian and smiled. "You have the same eyes as me." The entire ballroom exploded into whispers. Adrian felt like the floor vanished beneath him, because children didn't know how to lie, and Amelia had just confirmed every fear inside him. Elena closed her eyes briefly. 1 second. Just 1 second. Like she was exhausted from carrying this pain alone for years. Then she opened them again, cold, controlled, powerful. And Adrian realized something horrifying in that moment. She no longer needed him. Not financially, not emotionally, not socially. The woman he destroyed had rebuilt herself into someone beyond his reach. And for the first time in Adrian Vale's life, he understood what true regret felt like. If you're still watching right now, comment Team Elena below, because things are about to get even crazier. And trust me, the biggest betrayal in this story hasn't even been revealed yet. That same night, Adrian couldn't sleep, not even for 1 minute. He sat alone in his penthouse, staring at the old wedding photo he once locked away in a drawer. Elena was smiling in the picture, not the controlled smile she wore tonight. A real one, soft, trusting, happy. He remembered taking that photo right after whispering into her ear, "You're safe with me." The memory nearly made him sick, because she was never safe with him. Not really. Around 2 in the morning, Adrian finally stood up and walked toward the private bar near his office window. New York glittered beneath him, cold, restless, but his mind kept replaying one image over and over again, the little girl's face. "You have the same eyes as me." He poured whiskey with shaking hands. Then his phone rang. Adrian answered instantly. "What? You need to see this. What is it? Check your email." The line disconnected. Adrian frowned before opening his laptop. A file waited in his inbox, no subject, no sender name, just one attachment. He clicked it. And the second the first document opened, his entire world began collapsing. Bank records, edited timestamps, forged signatures, manipulated transfers. Every piece of evidence used against Elena 3 years ago had been fabricated. Adrian stopped breathing. Then came photographs, original versions beside altered versions, images designed to make Elena appear unfaithful. His hands trembled violently now. No. And then the final document appeared, an internal message chain between Vivian Vale and Vanessa Laurent. The ex-lover Adrian thought disappeared years ago. The woman who spent months convincing him Elena was manipulating him. The messages were short, cruel, calculated. Once he sees the photos, he'll never trust her again. "She's pregnant. We need this finished immediately." He can never know about the baby. Adrian's knees nearly gave out beneath him. Pregnant, his mother knew, Vanessa knew, and they still destroyed her anyway. Adrian slammed the laptop shut so hard the glass table cracked beneath it. His chest burned with rage, not toward Elena, toward himself, because Elena begged him to listen, and he chose pride instead. He chose ego instead. He chose humiliation instead. And now somewhere in this city, his daughter was sleeping without him.